The satellite images shown in this video were all captured from the Google Earth application. Search for Google Earth to learn how you can download this application to your device. After a few weeks of preparation, Sunday 2 departed Vero Beach City Marina on Monday, July 9th, 2018. There were two SOBs, Don and Scott. SOB is Coast Guard talk for Souls on Board. Scott was new to sailing and wanted the experience of sailing to the Bahamas. He saw the good, the bad, and the ugly. Monday, July 9th, 2018, 06:35. The Vero Beach City Marina has easy access to the Intercoastal Waterway, the ICW. Southbound on the ICW toward the Fort Pierce Inlet. 2 hours later, Sunday 2 has called the Fort Pierce North Bridge and requested an opening. Now we are only minutes away from the Fort Pierce Inlet. The Fort Pierce Inlet is rated as one of the best inlets on the east coast of the United States, and it is a good choice for leaving the ICW and going out into the Atlantic. This Google Earth screen capture shows our track from the Fort Pierce Inlet to the Lake Worth Inlet. It also gives you an appreciation for the location and width of the Gulf Stream. Keep in mind the Gulf Stream flows northward at a speed between 2 to 3 knots and will have an effect on any vessel in the stream. When you track our speed, you will find that the closer we move to Lake Worth, the slower our speed. And when you see where the Gulf Stream is located, you will understand why. After over 12 hours at sea and fighting the Gulf Stream, we were in a slip at the Sailfish Marina just inside the Lake Worth Inlet. Our float plan indicated we would overnight it at Sailfish and then get an early start to cross the Atlantic to West End, Bahamas. However, I decided we should stay one more night. I wanted to keep an eye on Tropical Storm Beryl and make sure it was not going to turn and pass over the Bahamas or have any other degrading effect on the weather that could affect our crossing. So after an extra night at the Sailfish Marina and a favorable assessment of the weather, we got off to an early morning start. And as you can see, the Lake Worth Inlet is a busy place, but we had not expected to encounter this. Needless to say, we delayed our turn into the inlet until she passed. This Google Earth screenshot shows our path across the ocean from Lake Worth to West End. We tried to factor in the effects of the Gulf Stream, and we made pretty good time using full sails and the engine running at cruising RPM. My vector math must have been a little off because our plot showed that we were coming in a little high, that's north, of West End. So around 13:30 we changed course to steer more toward the south. The weather was great all the way across until we came within sight of the water tower at West End. Then a thunderstorm developed and we had to drop sails and slow down until it passed. A little after 5 p.m. we were in a slip at the old Bahama Bay Marina. We hurried around to the customs house, and the customs officials were not too happy to see us because they were supposed to close at 5. One young lady, when she saw how slow I was at filling out one of their forms, she took the form away from me and rapidly filled it out herself. For some reason, we decided to stay at Old Bahama Bay for 2 nights instead of 1. Our next day's sail took us from West End to an unmarked channel called Indian Cay Channel, and our first waypoint was called Indian Rocks. Needless to say, this passage took some careful and slow navigation because there were no reliable navigational aids. As it turned out, our GPS system actually showed a dotted line path through this section, and we stayed on this path and had no problems as we passed Barracuda Shoals, which led us to deeper water. We ended today's sail anchored at Great Sail Cay for the night. While anchored at Great Sail Cay, we lowered the swim platform, swam in crystal clear water, and Scott put on his snorkeling gear to check out our anchor. We also put the dinghy with the outboard engine in the water. Our goal for the next day's sail was to arrive at our final destination, Green Turtle Cay. Things did not work out the way we planned. We departed our anchorage at Great Sail Cay around 8 a.m. and motor sailed around Little Sail Cay and turned on a course that would take us into the Sea of Abaco. Around 1300, the alternator belt on our engine broke, so we had to shut down the engine, but we continued to sail with both main and jib set. Fortunately, I had a spare belt in the engine spare parts kit, and just as fortunate, Scott had experience working on engines. While Scott worked in the hot engine compartment on replacing the alternator belt, I was at the helm, sailing Sunday 2 with a brisk breeze. Scott had to improvise because I did not have the exact tool set he needed, so we were without the engine for about 2 hours. Using sail power, I steered Sunday 2 between Hawksbill and Center of the World Rock, and right when I thought we might have to come about, Scott had the engine running again. It was getting late in the day, and I did not want to chance entering the Green Turtle Harbor after dark, so we anchored and spent the night off of Cooperstown. The next morning, after waiting out a squall, we set out for our final destination, the Bluff House Marina on Green Turtle Cay. We arrived around 11 o'clock Sunday, July 15th. It had been 6 days since we departed Vero Beach. During our stay at the Bluff House Marina, we partied with our good friends and neighbors who were vacationing on Green Turtle. We took the dinghy on the half-hour trip to New Plymouth in order to purchase provisions. The Curry grocery store had a dock right on the waterway, which made it convenient for shopping. We also partied with our good friends and neighbors. The Marina Resort was a good place to enjoy the best of the Bahamas.